What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sideline Sorcerers. I need to commend my boy Rhett over here on another Green Goblin week.
Jeez.
4-0 on your baseball picks, making you 7-0.
I can't
through
believe
your last
that.
7 bets, bro. You're up 6 units.
That's absurd. I honestly am shocked.
I'm very
shocked.
excited for you, bro.
Thank
You're
you.
just rolling around in all the coin right now.
Feels good. It feels good. Hopefully we can keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. But we have got a little NBA playoff update to discuss today.
Most certainly, yes.
No NFL news, so we're just going to jump right into the NBA. So we're just going to update a little bit on my round 2 predictions. Just a quick recap on what I said was going to happen. So I said that OKC was going to beat Dallas in 6 games. They're currently down 2-1. I said that Denver was going to beat the Timberwolves in 7 games. They're currently tied 2-2 through 4 games. And Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers, I said that Boston was going to beat Cleveland in Game 5 or in 5 games. And right now, Boston is winning 2-1. Game 4 is tonight. And then finally, I said that the Pacers were going to beat the Knicks in Game 7. And right now, the series is tied 2 games apiece. So we're going to just run through each of the games this past week. So going back to Monday, May 6th, the Pacers faced the Knicks for Game 1 in the series, and they ended up losing 121-117. And now this one really made me upset because our listeners will probably know that we have placed a bet on the Pacers to win the finals. Plus 11,000 odds when we placed it, and it is nowhere close to that anymore. But so the Pacers were up 6 at halftime, and they held a lead for most of the second half too. And with just 1 minute left, the Knicks tied it up, bro. 1 minute, and then the Pacers end up losing by 4 in that game.
It's abysmal.
It was a bad beat for us because that would have been a really hot start for the Pacers coming into New York City and getting a dub over the Knicks, and they just fell short. Jalen Brunson had a really solid game. He put up 43. And, yeah, they really just kind of squashed out my hopes in the beginning there,
Right.
The Pacers weren't able to give me as much excitement as I wanted, but that changed later on. All right, but the second game on May 6th was the Timberwolves at the Denver Nuggets, and Minnesota pounded 106-80 here. The Nuggets just kind of jacked around for the whole game. Aaron Gordon was the leading scorer of the game with just 20 points. I mean, this is ridiculous. The guy averages like 12 points a game, and like you've got Jokic who's averaging like 25 a game, maybe even more. And like Aaron Gordon's the leading scorer. So Jokic only puts up 16 and Jamal Murray with 8, which is, again, just unprecedented for their team to only put up 80 points. But a good start for Minnesota there. So then on May 7th, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Boston Celtics. Now Boston won this one 120-95. Kind of a beatdown. They just kind of pulled away early. They were up 10 at halftime. And the beatdown just kind of continued in the second half. The Cavs didn't really stand a chance. This one was kind of upsetting for me because I bet on the Cavaliers to cover the spread. It was plus 11 for them, and they unfortunately weren't even close to that. This felt like one of those times where Boston was going to struggle at home in the playoffs, and that wasn't the case. That ended up happening later on in the week. The second game on May 7th was Dallas at OKC, and OKC won pretty handily here, 117-95. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a monster performance, whereas Luka only put up 19. Very unlike Luka. It's one of his worst games in a while. He actually had 5 turnovers as well, so just kind of not what you would expect out of him.
For sure.
SGA had a typical game, putting up a lot of points, but Luka, not so much. Then moving on to May 8th, we've got the second game in the series for the Pacers and the Knicks. And the Knicks won this one as well, 130-121, bringing their lead in the series up to 2-0. And this one, we were actually at dinner when we were checking the score on this one. I'm sure you remember. The Pacers were up 10 at halftime, bro.
Yeah, they were.
We were mid taco crunch.
We were.
And like
feeling good about ourselves.
Dude, we were feeling so good. We were eating some spicy jalapenos and some nice chips and salsa.
Oh yeah, baby.
We were feeling excited. Pacers up 10. And then the Knicks start the third quarter with a 27-8 run.
They scored twice as many points exactly as the Pacers in the third quarter.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's absurd.
That absolutely is, yeah. So the Pacers played the entire rest of the game from behind. It's honestly impressive that they only lost by 9 with the way they were playing the second half.
They only got outscored by 1 point in the fourth quarter, so they just decided to really not show up to the third quarter.
Yeah,
that's
just
an
took a
abysmal
nap.
outing for them.
Yeah, for sure. Brunson actually came out of the game with an injury, and if you remember, like last week I had predicted that like Jalen Brunson could get injured in the same way that like Giannis did,
right?
And so that could cause the Pacers to like get excited and do really well. But he ended up returning. Jalen Brunson returned to the game, and I think that just inspired the Knicks to really perform well, and then they ended up winning there. So Brunson is good now. He's healthy. He's fine. But yeah,
although he's been out there, a lot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the worst thing if they had sat him one game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on to May 9th, we've got the Cavaliers and the Celtics again. Now this time, the Cavaliers put the absolute beatdown on Boston when Boston's at home. Don't really understand this after the Cavs got absolutely pummeled in the first game, but this was the game that I should have bet the Cavaliers spread of like plus 13 or something like that. Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley both put up like more than 20 points, and they just kind of pounded the Celtics. None of the Celtics guys really showed up to play. I think that Jaylen Brown was sub 20 points, and I think Jason Tatum was the only guy who had more than 20, and it was only like 23 maybe. And this might have been a game where Drew Holiday only had like 2 points, or maybe it was 4. But yeah, just an all-around bad day for the Celtics, and I'm sure you know that your boy Kristaps Porzingis, he's out with an injury right now. Yeah. But I still think that Boston will be fine, and they'll be able to take care of business with Cavaliers. All right, second game on May 9th. We have Dallas Mavericks and the Thunder again. So this time Dallas wins 119-110. Dallas was leading for the whole game, except for about 2 minutes in the third quarter. Luka showed up this time. He put up 29, and so did P.J. Washington, who averaged, I think, only like 12 points a game during the regular season. Very impressive performance out of him.
He went off.
Yeah. And then SGA had 33 in this game, but still wasn't enough.
Another solid performance.
Dude, he is just always so solid. He is just like, I'm trying to think of like an NFL comparison to him. Like he just like always like produces. I feel like a good comparison would be like
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say like Cooper Kupp from like 2 years ago. It was just like every single week he would put up like a good like touchdown and 100 yards.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was just like the guy. And that's what I feel like SGA is.
Yeah, no, this was a big game out of him.
Yeah, and still wasn't enough, unfortunately. But all right, moving on to May 10th here. I think this was Thursday. This was Friday now.
Yeah.
This was Friday. Okay. So we have the Knicks and the Pacers back at it again. And this time, the Pacers clutch up and get a win at home. 111-106. Dante DiVincenzo puts up 35. He had 7 threes for the Knicks after averaging just 15 points per game this season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers also put up 35, so kind of negated his efforts. And with 17 seconds left in the game, it was all tied up. Mm-hmm. Pacers and Knicks were tied. I think it was maybe tied at like 115, something like that. And Andrew Nembhard sinks a 3 to give the Pacers.
Nembhard.
He gives the Pacers a win here, and he only had 2 points on the day before that. So like, aren't you kind of surprised that the ball was even in his hands in the first place?
Yeah, I know. Like how I wouldn't be giving it to that guy.
Yeah, you'd think
I'd be giving it to your best people out there.
Yeah, you'd think after Tyrese Halliburton puts up 35, you might want to toss the ball to him.
For sure, yeah, put it in the hot hands.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, Nembhard does his job, does the job he got paid for and got us a win. So I'm not trying to complain about it. All right, and then we've also got here the Nuggets against the Timberwolves. This is the first game that the Nuggets won in the series, 117-90. Anthony Edwards has his worst game of the series. He only put up 19, while all the Nuggets starters are in double digits.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, all of their starters.
So well-rounded.
Yeah, and well, it didn't seem that way for the first few games of the series. But
they didn't panic, though.
Yeah, it's very odd. Denver lost both of their first two games in the series at home, and then Minnesota lost both of their two games.
Yeah, so every road team is won in this one.
Right, exactly. But yeah, and so three of the guys in this game had 20 plus. I think it was Aaron Gordon, Jokic, and Jamal Murray, all doing very well in that game. All right, up to May 11th, you've got the Thunder against the Mavericks. Mavericks are at home, and Dallas wins this one, a close one, but they win 105-101, bringing them to 2-1 in the series over the Thunder as they were underdogs on the series. SGA dominates again, but nobody else on OKC even helps. I think he had in the maybe 29 points in this game. PJ Washington, again for Dallas, tosses up 27, bro. I mean, he averaged like 12 points a game in the regular season, and he's just coming to play in the playoffs. Leads Dallas to a win. Luka and Kyrie each had 22, so PJ was the top scorer on the day. Very impressive performances out of this guy who I didn't really like. Yeah. I didn't really think he felt like a star to me.
Pretty quiet during the regular season for sure.
Exactly, but yeah, he's coming to play now. All right, we've got the Celtics and the Cavaliers here. Celtics get a dub, 106-93. All of their Boston starters play their hearts out after kind of getting pummeled by the Cavs in the prior game. So they only have 13 bench points on the day. Every single one of their starters just went nuts. Tatum had 33, Jaylen Brown had 28, Drew Holiday had 18, and the top performer for the Cavaliers was Donovan Mitchell with 33, but he just, I mean, no one else on their team is really doing much.
It's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've got the last two games that were yesterday, May 12th, the Knicks and the Pacers. Now, this is kind of a crazy one here. The Knicks lost this game by 32 points, bro.
That's wild.
And I'm not sure if you saw this part of it, but they were down by 43 points at one point.
You still don't see that much in the playoffs.
No, absolutely not. It was the largest lead of any team so far in this year's playoffs. The Pacers were winning 101-63 at the end of the third quarter.
I mean, it's just one of those games they just weren't shooting the three. Jalen Brunson, 0 for 5. Only 18 points on the day.
Yep.
Just had an off day.
Yeah, exactly. And so they ended up both teams sat all of their starters by the end of the third quarter.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So for the entire fourth, it was just some backups playing. The Knicks were missing quite a few people. They were missing Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and a couple other guys, and they just really couldn't keep up. But the crazy part is the Pacers are actually favored to win the series now, even though it's tied.
Wow. That means the odds are... I mean, that's crazy because it's going back to New York.
I know. Well, it goes to New York and then and back to Indiana and then back to New York. But it is still surprising. I think that it's got to just be because of the players that are injured for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all on Jalen Brunson at this point, it seems.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. The other thing I wanted to note, too, so the Knicks, so this I don't understand at all. Like, this is absolutely wild to me. The Knicks are favored or are set to, like, lose the series. The Pacers are favored, yet the odds to win the NBA Finals championship, the Knicks are plus 3,000, the Pacers plus 5,000.
That's gotta be some sort of an error. I mean, that just does not compute.
It doesn't. Like, I don't know if it's maybe like, oh, like if the Knicks beat the Pacers, then like it's much more likely that they're going to win.
I guess that's the way to think about it, but
it feels wacky to me though that like
wacky.
The Pacers are favored to win the series, but like have a much lower odds.
Yeah, just no one likes the Pacers to go all the way, man.
I mean, like realistically, like they shouldn't go all the way. Like they're not the best team in the playoffs, but it's just I thought there was a lot of value for them in plus 11,000, and if they do in fact beat the Knicks here in this series, I mean this cash out is going to be nice, dude. It's going to be juicy.
It really should be, yeah. I'm excited. I would like to see what it would be.
Yeah. All right, last game here. Denver Nuggets at Minnesota Timberwolves. Denver wins this one in Minnesota, 115-107. Anthony Edwards with a monster day. His best performance of the series so far. He put up 44, but Denver was just too good yesterday, man. Jokic had 35. Aaron Gordon with 27. I mean, Aaron Gordon's a guy who's like normally good for like 10 or 15, and he puts up 27. And then Jamal Murray also had 19. So, it's great that Edwards is showing up, but like,
I mean, it's just a shame he shows out for nothing though. It's not even that close. They still lost by 8.
I know, yeah, and I mean, I love Anthony Edwards. He's a great player.
Yeah, me too.
It does suck when you come to play and it doesn't feel like your teammates show up as well.
It just goes to show how much more complete Denver is than Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Denver's much more well-rounded, and it feels like Anthony Edwards is really just the star of the team. And I mean, Jokic is, of course, the star of Denver too, but he's got much better, like, I don't know what you want to say, like, assets or, like, supporting cast than exactly. I feel like Anthony Edwards does. But, yeah, that's what we've got so far for the NBA playoffs. I still like my picks. I think that OKC is still going to win. I don't know that it's going to be in 6 games anymore. It maybe will be pushed to 7. Yeah. But I still like the Thunder to win that. I still think Denver will win in 7. Boston, I still like to win. And the Pacers, they're going to win. It's happening. So I feel good about my picks so far. And do you want to share yours now as well?
Yeah, I brewed up some picks of my own here. I am going to take actually Dallas to win in 7 here. Mm-hmm. I just think they have more experience. OKC is much younger, even though they're flashier. They're more exciting. Mm-hmm. I just think that Dallas will be able to pull this off. They do have a game lead at the moment. I've been going back and forth between this Minnesota-Denver one. I would much rather see the Timberwolves win, but we just saw what happened. Anthony Edwards can play amazing. And they seem to let him. They're like, all right, Anthony, you can go off, but ain't no one else doing shit. Mm-hmm. And that's their recipe. That's the formula for them to win. And it feels like at this point, Denver, with all the experience, all the expertise they have, going back to Denver, they're going to be able to pull away. I'm going to have them winning in 6.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, historically, like, the Timberwolves have always sucked in the playoffs. Yeah. And so, like, it's really impressive what they've been able to do in the fact.
I mean, I think they're on the upward swing, but just don't think it's going to be this year where they make a deep, deep run.
Yep, I agree with you there.
I am going to go with Boston winning 4-1 here, like you. 4-1 as in 5 games. Cleveland, it's a nice little story and all that, but the Celtics are just an absolute colossus.
A colossus.
They are a colossus. I mean, it's just the force of nature.
Is that like your Weltanschlong on the topic? Your Weltanschlong?
Not even all the way. I mean, Weltanschlong's like
a philosophy.
Yeah,
right?
It really is. But in terms of complexity of my vocab, I mean, we're not even there yet.
Okay.
We'll get there, though. Trust me. When I get dialed in for college football next year or later this year and the NFL season, that's when we're pulling out the Weltanschlongs, the voluptuousness, the splendiferous, the minutia. You know what I mean? I know.
Don't even know what minutia is, but that's pretty exciting.
You'll find out. We'll get there. We'll get there. And then lastly, I will have the Pacers winning in 7, like you were saying, with injuries. It can't all be on Jalen Brunson, so eventually it's going to spill over. I think they could have maybe sat him one of the games to kind of save him a little bit, kind of keep him fresh. But, man, they've been using him a lot. It's like in a video game, you can only use the OP gun until, either it runs out of ammo, it's got like a little cooldown, like the Thunder gun in Zombos.
Exactly,
I mean, it's only got so many bullets, right? So that is what I have there. Do we have any more comments on the NBA at the moment?
I don't think so. I do like your Dallas pick, though. I mean, they are doing well. I mean, I picked OKC because, I put them as my best bet.
It's always good to stick with what you got.
Weeks back. And, I mean, they're still a good team. And I could, they were a 1 seed. I could see them beating Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
But I like your pick, too. I mean, they are up a game. And, they do feel like they've got a lot more of that star quality when they've got guys like Kyrie and Luka and, PJ Washington showing up every week when, OKC basically just has SGA.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of the Baltimore Orioles last year, who had the best record in the MLB, but they got first rounded.
Wow.
Obviously, it's not going to be quite as severe for the Thunder here, but yeah, I think the Orioles might have gotten swept by the Rangers, which is just crazy. I don't think they won over one game. They might have won one game in the playoffs, but nuts. I think they got swept, and they had the best record in the postseason, which is what everyone was saying. Is like, is the postseason too long? Just wears you out. Does the postseason even mean anything? Like the Braves, have a phenomenal record, and they get first exited by the Phillies. So just one of those things. I can kind of see the trend here going that way as well. But we're going to hop now in full board to the MLB, revisiting those players that I called out a couple weeks ago, the studs and the duds. Yes, exactly. And we're going to see where they're at now. Maybe a stud has turned into a little bit of a dud.
Whoa.
Maybe a dud has turned into a little bit of a stud. Or maybe a dud is just still a dud. It's very possible for some of these guys. So let's dive on in here. We're going to start with my guy, Shōta Imanaga of the Cubs. And he is absolutely still showing out. He leads the entire MLB in ERA at 1.05, and he's got top 5 in WHIP as well. So he's just absolutely incredible. He pitches tonight, so we're going to see him against the Braves, maybe his toughest competition yet. So I hope he can hold up against them. Eventually, there's going to be a game where he gives up like 4 earned runs, but so far he's not giving up more than 2 in a single game.
Wow.
And he's been going like 6 innings consistently, striking guys out on a consistent basis as well. So
that's so impressive,
I know.
bro.
I love him. I'm a big fan.
So like when you're looking at betting lines and you see that he's playing, and do you like to take the under? Do you normally look at something like that, or like a no-run first inning?
Exactly. I took the no-runs first inning today for that game because the pitcher for the Braves, I think, is pretty solid as well. He's got a 1.53 ERA on the season so far.
Yeah.
I do think the Cubs actually win, even though they're underdogs tonight, so they're in plus money, but obviously the pot won't probably come out early enough to bet on that. But yeah, I look at that for sure. Like the last time he pitched a couple weeks ago was him versus Butto of the Mets. And yeah, I took the no runs first inning. I took the under. It was like 7.5. Game ended 1-0 Cubs. So
yeah,
just easy money. Taking money from a baby. So yeah, Spencer Steer of the Reds, who I had as one of the best studs last time. He is still producing at a high level. His batting average has come down a little bit, but he's at 27 RBIs, 4 home runs, and 11 stolen bases. So he's still highly productive, even though his team as a whole has been really struggling. Actually, the Reds have. Then you have Kutter Crawford, who has been pretty solid. He hasn't been quite as amazing as he was to start the season. He's had a couple duds in there, one of them being against the Cubs, in fact, where he gave up a few runs and they ended up losing 7-1. But after that, he went out and pitched 7 strong innings against the Giants for a dub, 6 strong innings against the Braves. Did not win that one, but it was a quality start. So he's still been really solid. The Red Sox just in general have an amazing starting pitcher lineup between Kutter Crawford and Tanner Houck. Then you have Juan Soto, who has still been an absolute stud. I had him as a stud before, and he still is. 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, and he's batting .314 right now, so you really can't complain about him at all. His teammate Aaron Judge, I didn't call him out for being a dud last time, but he was definitely a little bit of a dud, and he's turned it up a lot since then. He's been hitting a lot of solo home runs, so he's at 10 homers, 27 RBIs. He's definitely turned it up a little bit. Then you have Martín Pérez. Unfortunately, he's fallen a little bit into dud territory.
Oh, is it a little regression to the
Super regression. Ooh. So, he started out amazing. And even since we did this episode, he had a nice 6-inning shutout of the Giants, 4 strikeouts. But after that, 2 starts have been poo. 5 1/3 against one of the worst teams in the league, the Colorado Rockies. He gave up 3 runs, resulting in the loss there. Then I took him. I streamed him in one of my fantasy leagues because I figured, all right, you're at home. You're going up against the Angels. Surely you could take care of the Angels. You've played them because he used to be on the Texas Rangers. So he played the Rangers, or he played the Angels all the time. No.
It must have been the propitious Peacocks that you streamed him in.
Yeah, because the Peacocks are absolutely... yeah, oh my God. That's a whole nother story. 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, but he gave up 4 runs, I believe, in this game, and that also resulted in the loss. Then we have Brice Turang. His production has dwindled a little bit, but he's still batting .308 over the last week. He's got a couple stolen bases in there. No homers in the last 2 weeks, but he's still been fine. He's just not quite as steady as he was before. Frankie Montas has also fallen into dudry territory, little duddy. He did have a nice 6-inning, 7 strikeout, 1.5 ERA. So he only gave up 1 run to the Diamondbacks, but they did lose 6-2. Unfortunately, though, just yesterday, he went 4 2/3, 3 strikeouts, and he gave up, I believe, 5 runs there. So that was super ugly there. And he's on the red, so he's kind of contributed to their downfall.
Yeah.
Brady Singer, my guy. Yeah, Kansas City has been so sneakily good. They're the team to bet on, and so are the Oakland Athletics. Everyone, these teams were bad last year. They lost like 100 games apiece. They're much improved this year. I mean, Brady Singer has only given up 1 run over his last 3 starts each. He's unfortunately only gotten the dub in his last game that he started on May 8th against the Brewers. We love to see that, but I do believe he is starting today, against the Seattle Mariners, so we'll see how that goes.
So for KC, are you betting on just their money line when Brady Singer is pitching?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it hasn't resulted in a bunch of dubs for him, but yeah, I mean, they have a really good record. I think they're like 23-15, somewhere around there. So, I mean, just betting on them any time. I mean, their starting lineup's insane with Cole Reagans, who's in a little bit of a slump right now, but these 2 other guys, Brady Singer, and then Seth Lugo, who has perhaps been the best of all these guys in terms of maintaining his stuttery.
Yeah.
Because he has just balled out. I mean, when we talked about him last, I think he had 3 dubs. He had just come off that 7-inning shutout of the White Sox. Well, he had another 7-inning shutout of the Tigers. Then he had a 7-inning 1-run for the Blue Jays, 8 strikeouts. Then he had 6 2/3 of 1 run, or that was 2-run ball against the Brewers. Unfortunately, they lost that game, but then he followed it up against the Angels in LA, in Anaheim. 8 innings, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, his career high 12 strikeouts. He got the dub there. So he's 6 wins, 48 strikeouts, 1.66 ERA on the year so far.
He's a K machine.
I know, and he's an older guy, so I really love to see that. Unfortunately, Michael Busch of the Cubs has regressed a little bit. He did hit a walk-off home run a little bit ago, but his production has dwindled incredibly. His last 2 weeks, he's only batting 186, unfortunately. But to balance that, other Cubs have turned on the lights. Cody Bellinger has definitely stepped out of his dud territory. He went 4 for 5 the other day with the homer. He's 7 home runs, 21 RBIs, and that's with an injury that took him out for a couple weeks in there as well. Nico Hoerner of the Cubs has also been better as of late. He's gotten his batting average up to 275 on the year, whereas when we visited him before, it was sub 200. So although he hasn't had too many homers, his 2 homers have come in the last 2 weeks. So he's getting that power back as well. Justin Turner of the Blue Jays has been pretty solid. He is injured, though, a little bit, and his production has dwindled. He's still sporting that 250 batting average with 4 homers on the year, but he's definitely fallen off a little bit. Tyler O'Neill has also fallen off a little bit. He had an injury in there, and it looked like he was going to resume. When he got back from his injury, he was going to be right back where he started, because I think he hit a homer in the game returning from his injury and then following that, both against the Cubs, but since then he has not hit another homer, and the entire last week he's only been 2 for 19, which is 10.5%. No homers, no RBIs, no stolen bases, just a single run. So
that's
he's
kind
been
of embarrassing.
Yeah, he's been kind of bad over the last few weeks here. Teoscar Hernandez, of course, he's on the Dodgers, so he's probably been amazing. Yep, he just hit a grand slam the other day. 33 RBIs, 11 homers. He's been absolutely incredible this year, and he continues to do so. Jose Berrios of the Blue Jays has still been pretty solid. In fact, I believe he pitches today, so I took the Nerfy in that game against the Orioles. So that'll be later tonight. Unfortunately, he did have a bad outing against the Phillies a couple days ago, giving up, looks to be 6 earned runs, unfortunately. He did have 7 strikeouts, but that was pretty ugly. Game before, though, he went 7 strong innings, only 2 earned runs. But yeah, he's fallen off a little bit, but he's not getting much run support either. Another Blue Jay, Alejandro Kirk, he is still definitely a dud. Man, it's just so sad to see this guy fall from grace. I mean, a couple years ago, he was batting in the 300s, hitting home runs, having, big RBI days, and now he really can't get anything going.
Is it just age, or he's just fallen off?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's a beefcake of a catcher. I mean, he's a girth bird. Maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know, though. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't have the mechanics down right now. I really don't think it's age. Alex Bregman of the Astros has not been great. I mean, he's just been consistently 200. That's what he's batting. He's been that when we started, and he's still that. 13 RBIs, 1 homer, 2 stolen bases, just pretty mid. And if the Astros want to get anything going, they need him and some of those other guys to start producing. Now, Nick Castellanos, I can happily say he's come out of the dungeon a little bit. He's got 2 homers over the last 4 games. He's got his batting average up to 209, but I know that doesn't sound great, but over the last 2 weeks, he's batting .348, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 runs. So he's definitely turned it on a little bit.
Yeah, he must have been sub 200 the first time we recorded as well. Oh, man,
he was ugly sub 200. So, yeah, that's where we stand right now in terms of the standings. I'm just really impressed and happy for the Phillies. They've been on a tear lately. Ranger Suarez is 7-0 as a pitcher. He's only given up like 1 earned run per game. I think there was one where he had multiple in there, but he's been absolute stud.
Are there any other 7-0 pitchers, or is he the only one?
He's the only 7-0 by a landslide. There's no one, I don't think, who has that many. Let me check here. I mean, Ranger Suarez is just a different breed. I remember a couple years ago where he was coming on, but he was super inconsistent, and now he's just like the best pitcher in the league.
Wow.
I think there are some 6-1s in there, like Glasnow. Glasnow might be 6-2. Seth Lugo, I believe, is 6-1. But, yeah, Ranger Suarez is an absolute dog, and he's second behind Shōta Imanaga in terms of ERA at 1.5. So, I mean, Shota has a pretty good lead with the 1.08 in there. So, yeah, I commend the Phillies. This might be the year that the Braves don't win their division finally. They've been winning it the last couple of years, even though the Phillies would always bounce them out of the playoffs when they face in the playoffs. But maybe this is the year that the roles are switched, or the Phillies just go on an absolute tear and win the division outright, which I think they're due for. The Cubs have been kind of slumping a little bit. Paul Skeens made his debut finally in the big leagues. He's been one of the most anticipated pitchers over the last few years.
Wait, so why is he making his debut right now?
So it's just kind of how it goes. They marinate in the minors for a few years. I mean, he is relatively younger. Like, a lot of pitchers don't make their debut until after. I mean, he's only 21 at this point.
I just wasn't sure if like when the season started, like he was on their team, or was he just called up from the minors? He
was just called up.
Oh, okay.
Like a couple days ago to make the start on Saturday.
Okay.
And he struck out 7 over 5 innings. He gave up a bunch of runs to the Cubs, but the Cubs, it was so weird. The Pirates were leading 6-1, and then the Pirates set a record for the most walked-in RBIs.
Wow.
So they walked 5 or 6 out of 7 Cubs pitchers, or Cubs batters. So then it was 8-6, and then the Pirates scored 4 more runs, and the Cubs lost 10-9 or something, 10-8. So, yeah, no, he's electric. I mean, he reached triple digits 17 times in that start. So, yeah, I mean, I look up at the screen. I was at the restaurant, and he just casually throwing 102 miles per hour.
That's some nice velo.
And he's 21 years old. I mean, the dude's an absolute machine. So, yeah, I mean, exciting stuff going on in the baseball world right now. Just hope the Cubs can turn on and hopefully win when we go up there to see him in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, dude, that'd be humongous. I hope that our guy Shōta is pitching for that game as well.
I know. I really hope it's Shōta. I swear to God, if it's like Kyle Hendricks, I think I won't go.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, but... All right, that's all we have.
Rip into the best bets?
Yes. So,
right.
Recapping.
Yes, definitely. So, OKC was plus 1,600 to win the finals. Right now, they're down to plus 1,300. So, still a little bit of, improvement to their odds. You should probably still be able to cash out for a positive value there, but it's obviously not as good as it was last week at plus 800. And the Pacers are down to plus 5,000 from plus 11,000. So, talked about this a little bit already, but Tuesday, Cleveland at Boston. I had said Cleveland plus 11 for the Boston game at home. I guess I was just one game off because Game 2 of the series, Cleveland easily covered the spread. In fact, they won outright by like 20 points. But in Game 1, they got absolutely blasted by the Celtics. And then also last week on Tuesday, Dallas and OKC. I said OKC to cover -3.5, and they did so quite easily as well. I think that's the one that they won by like 22 or something like that. Maybe it was 117-95. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, so that was an easy -3.5, and we got that one nicely since Dallas ended up winning the next 2 games. And now, I did not discuss this in the pod last week. However, over the weekend it was my mama bear's birthday, and so she got a little bet MGM like bonus bet action. So like I made like my parents like sign up for like DraftKings and like FanDuel so they could get like the bonus bets,
right.
You know? And so so like with the bet MGM one, you get a free $5 bonus bet on your birthday, evidently. So I ended up helping her craft a surgical lock, okay? Denver money line and Anthony Edwards over 28.5 at plus 400 odds.
That's insane.
And that cashed last night easily. Denver, like we said, Denver won by 8,
Easy
and
peasy.
Anthony Edwards put up 44.
That's what we were saying, yeah. They let him score. No one else, though.
Yeah, exactly. You want to tickle your best bets?
Yeah, I do want to tickle him. So, yeah, all on May 7th. So that was Tuesday. Cubs money line, they were able to pull it off. That was, I believe, the walk-off from Busch. That was the walk-off home run from Michael Busch.
Very nice.
-165 there. Then we had the Mets money line. I just couldn't believe there were like 2 games in a row where like the Mets were underdogs. I know they were in St. Louis, but St. Louis is just really bad. Mets are really, I think they're solid this year. They're underrated. So plus money 110 there. They won. And then a couple nerfies. Seattle, Minnesota nerfie, and the Arizona, Cincinnati nerfie. Both of those pulled through. I don't remember the starting pitchers, but they were solid. Otherwise, I would not have selected that.
Right.
So, yeah, those were some solid starting pitchers. And, yeah, hopefully we can keep it up. Probably not, because when I went 8-0 in college football, I then went like 0-4 the next week. So, it's just the law of averages, which I strictly believe in. Hopefully not, though. Maybe I could push it to 12-0, and then I'll go 0-12 because I think that might be more impressive.
Come on now. No. We've got a 4-0 slate right here. Why don't you rip it?
All right. 3 nerfies. We have Mets, Phillies. All these are Tuesday, okay? So you got to listen, and then you got to place your wagers, okay? So this is Buto again and Wheeler, or it is Nola, one of the two. They're basically the same in terms of performance. Then you have Toronto and Baltimore, nerfy. That's Bassett against Bradish. Then you got St. Louis and Anaheim. That is Sonny Gray, who's been absolutely amazing. I should have included him on the stud list, but at the time we did this before, he was injured, so he's really been impressive coming back from that injury against Reed Detmers, who is inconsistent. I expect him to give up runs, but probably not in the first inning. And then the best value play of the day on Tuesday is going to be your Oakland Athletics, who I'm telling you, they're better than everyone gives them credit for. They have a better record than the Astros right now, and they're in Houston. Houston has one of their better pitchers up, but so does Oakland. JP Sears against Ronel Blanco. Now, Ronel did throw a no-hitter earlier in the year, but I think, again, the law of averages will kick in for him soon here as well, so you can get Oakland money line at plus 170.
Very nice, dude. I like that. Now, is Oakland's record better than the Kansas City Royals? Do you know?
No. Oakland is like 17-23.
Okay.
But
even still, though, some good value to be had.
19-23. The Astros are 15-25.
Okay.
So there you go.
Good stuff there. All right. We've got some playoff basketball bets for you here. So, Pacers and Knicks. What do you think we're betting on here, bro?
No shit, the Pacers.
We've got Pacers money line. They're still underdogs for tomorrow's game, yet they're favored for the series to win it, which just is ridiculous to me. Pacers money line plus 118. We're rolling with that tomorrow. We've also got Pacers and Knicks over 217. Now, their previous 4 games have been 238, 251, 217, and 210. Now,
Sounds like an over to me.
Well, it feels like an over. I know that their most recent one was 210, so the only one that went under that line.
That's because they sat all their starters.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they sat their starters, and then, I mean, I know that the Knicks have like some guys injured, but it's unprecedented for the Knicks to be blown out by 43 points and then just like decide to just give up for the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when these two teams are going at it head to head, and which they should tomorrow since the series is tied 2-2,
right.
Each one of these teams wants a victory. We're going to be hitting the over, I think.
I totally agree. I like that.
So I'm also going to parlay those as well. Indianapolis. Is it Indiana Pacers or Indianapolis? Do you know? I think it's just Indiana Pacers.
I think it's the Indiana Pacers. Yeah, that
I should
sounds
know that.
right.
I should know that. Anyways, we're rolling with the Pacers money line and the over 217 and a parlay of
it's
them.
the Indiana Pacers.
Okay,
so.
and we're parlaying them for plus 286.
Oh, that's a juicy one.
We're sprinkling a half unit on the parlay, though. One unit on each of the regulars and a half unit.
Understandable.
Yeah. And then we've got a little May 15th bet, Minnesota at Denver. I'm actually going to bet Minnesota money line here for Wednesday at plus 162, but still bet Denver to win the series at minus 176.
Very strategic there.
Yeah, very salty.
I like that.
Very, not salty, saucy, I meant to say. But yeah, so the odds on Denver to win the series are minus 176, and then Minnesota money lines plus 162.
Perfect. We do have some fan mail here.
Yes, my Papa Bear sent in his basketball picks from last week. So he said Boston is going to win in 5. We both said the same thing, so good pick there. He says that the Knicks are going to win in 6.
So they're just going to sweep from here on out is what he's saying.
Bad pick there.
Scary.
Pick. He's got to know that the Knicks have these injuries and that the Pacers are hot, bro. They're hot.
They are.
I mean, right?
They sure are. Yeah, I mean, I just think they're healthier.
Yeah. He said that Minnesota would beat Denver 4-1 or 4-2. So in Game 5 or Game 6.
I mean, that's like bolder than your Avenir condensed bold fonts in Microsoft Word.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I don't know where you came up with that one, bro, but I like that a lot. Yeah, obviously Minnesota is not going to beat Denver in 5 games. They could beat them in 6 games. I don't think that it's super likely for that to happen, but it is certainly still possible. And then the last one here is OKC to beat Dallas in Game 7, which is a fair pick. I like that. I really could see this series going either way, but I like the OKC pick since that's what I took a couple weeks back.
Definitely a little spice in these picks that it'll be nice to revisit.
Yes.
It'll be fun to see what was right, what was wrong for all 3 of us. So
for sure.
I'm excited.
For sure.
Well, that's all we have. It's definitely time to end this pod before the microphones cut out again. Fun fact, they cut out thrice.
Thrice,
they did.
Indeed.
That is a word. So, All right, we'll be back next week to recap all this and some NFL schedule release.
Yes, it's going to be released on May 15th, as far as I'm aware. So hopefully,
it's funny. Like they just announced that that's when they're releasing it. They didn't like plan it out. Like they didn't. Usually they say like at the draft or even before that when they're going to release it. They just announced that that was the date, which is a little later. It's like a week later. Although they did say that the Chiefs-Ravens will be the kickoff game for the entire season. Yeah, so that'll be Thursday Night Football, probably like September 8th or so. Yeah. Somewhere around September 10th maybe because of leap year. I don't know.
That'll be sweet, yeah.
So yeah, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye now.